Friday, January 2nd on Days of Our Lives delivers a delicious mix of wedding chaos, emotional manipulation and classic Salem psychology as secrets, schemes, and second thoughts collide just hours before vows are meant to be exchanged. This episode reminds viewers why weddings on Days are never simple celebrations. They are emotional battlegrounds, and this one is no exception, especially with Gwen Rizika's dirty tricks in play and Marlena Evans stepping in to save the day once again. At the center of the drama is a groom who goes missing at the worst possible moment. As the wedding clock ticks closer to ceremony time, panic begins to ripple through Salem. A missing groom is never a good sign, and in this case, it's not just inconvenient, it's emotionally loaded. Leo Stark, flamboyant, dramatic, and deeply sensitive beneath the bravado, has vanished. For those who know Leo well, this disappearance isn't shocking. Commitment terrifies him, not because he doesn't want love, but because he wants it so badly that the fear of losing it can be paralyzing. Leo doesn't run because he doubts his partner. He runs because he doubts himself. This is where Marlena Evans enters the story like the emotional compass she has always been. Marlena has an uncanny ability to sense emotional crises before they explode, and when she learns the groom is missing, she immediately understands what's really happening. This isn't cold feet, it's emotional overload. Marlena tracks Leo down, and the moment she finds him, the episode shifts from frantic wedding chaos to something far more intimate and meaningful. Leo is spiraling, his thoughts racing with all the ways this could go wrong. His past mistakes, his reputation, and his fear of being unworthy of real happiness all come crashing down at once. He's convinced that marrying someone good and stable is a mistake, that eventually he'll ruin everything just like he always does. Marlena doesn't scold him. She doesn't rush him. She listens. That's what makes Marlena such a powerful presence on Days of Our Lives. She doesn't force clarity, she creates space for it. She gently reminds Leo of how far he's come, of the work he's done to become a better man, and of the fact that growth doesn't erase the past, but it does redefine the future. She helps Leo separate fear from truth, insecurity from reality. Once again, Marlena manages to calm Leo down. This isn't the first pep talk she's given him, and that repetition matters. It shows that healing isn't linear. Even when someone seems ready, old fears can resurface at pivotal moments. Marlena reassures Leo that fear doesn't mean failure, it means he cares. And caring, she reminds him, is not a weakness. By the time Leo takes a breath and steadies himself, viewers can see the shift. He's still scared, but he's grounded again. He remembers why he said yes in the first place. He remembers that happiness doesn't require perfection, only honesty and courage. While Marlena is busy saving the wedding, another storyline reveals a far less noble use of emotional manipulation: Gwen Rizika's dirty tricks. Gwen has spent weeks carefully executing a long game, and this episode finally exposes just how calculated her actions have been. Gwen hasn't been trying to rebuild trust with Maddie out of genuine remorse or emotional growth. She's been doing it for access, specifically access to the wedding. Every apology, every vulnerable confession, every tearful moment was part of a strategy. Gwen knows that in Salem, being included in major events means being relevant. Being shut out means fading into the background, and Gwen refuses to fade. Her goal was simple but ruthless: get Maddie to trust her again long enough to secure an invitation. What makes Gwen's scheme particularly unsettling is how patient she's been. She didn't rush. She didn't demand forgiveness. She presented herself as humbled, reflective, and changed. And for a while it worked. Maddie began to soften, letting his guard down just enough for Gwen to slip back into his orbit. But Gwen's version of redemption is transactional. She doesn't seek forgiveness for its own sake, she seeks opportunity. The wedding invitation is proof that her plan succeeded. It validates her belief that emotional manipulation, when done subtly, is still effective. Gwen tells herself she's just doing what she has to do to survive in Salem, but deep down she knows the truth: she's using people again. And that's where the tragedy of Gwen's character lies. Gwen wants connection. She wants belonging. But instead of trusting that she can earn those things honestly, she falls back on manipulation because it feels safer. Control, for Gwen, is protection. If she controls the narrative, she doesn't have to risk rejection. Unfortunately, her dirty tricks come with consequences, whether she realizes it yet or not. The contrast between Gwen and Marlena in this episode is striking. Marlena uses her insight to heal, to guide, and to stabilize. Gwen uses her insight to exploit emotional cracks. Both women are intelligent. Both are perceptive. But they use those traits in radically different ways. As the ceremony inches closer, tension builds on multiple fronts. Will Leo make it back in time? Will anyone realize Gwen's motives before it's too late? And how long can carefully constructed lies survive in a town where secrets always surface? The wedding itself becomes more than a celebration. It becomes a test. For Leo, it's a test of whether he can trust himself enough to accept happiness. For Marlena, it's a reminder of why her role in Salem remains so vital. She doesn't just treat trauma, she prevents it from destroying lives. For Gwen, it's a test of whether manipulation will once again get her what she wants, or finally cost her everything. When Leo returns, steadied by Marlena's words, the relief is palpable. The crisis is averted, for now. Smiles return, guests relax, and the illusion of a perfect wedding is restored. But viewers know better. The calm feels fragile, and the presence of someone who fought her way into the room under false pretenses casts a long shadow. Marlena watches carefully. She always does. She may not yet know the full extent of Gwen's scheme, but Marlena has a way of sensing when something isn't right. Her intuition has saved countless lives, and there's a subtle sense that Gwen's behavior hasn't gone completely unnoticed. That awareness alone adds tension, because if Marlena decides to intervene, Gwen's carefully laid plan could unravel fast. By the end of the episode, one thing is clear. This wedding will go forward, but not without emotional consequences. Leo is calmer but still vulnerable. Gwen has achieved her goal, but at the cost of deepening her pattern of deception. And Marlena once again proves that even in a town filled with chaos, one steady voice can make all the difference. Friday's January 2nd episode of Days of Our Lives is a masterclass in emotional contrast.